You like, love, or hate Payton's motivation tactic?
I mean, but if I have to pick among those three, I'll say I like it. It's fine. You know what it reminds me of, but in a much better way? When Muhammad Ali came out of retirement to fight Larry Holmes for the title, and Ali was finished, and Holmes gave him a terrible beating. Don King had a contract. He owed Ali, I want to say, $6 million. He paid him $5 million. This is 1980. And he owed Ali an extra $1 million. Shows up at the hospital. Ali had taken a real beating in that fight. Shows up at the hospital with a briefcase with $50,000 in it and got Ali to sign a release for the other $950.
Absolutely
because there's
true.
something about when you see the cash, it means something different, particularly if you're from a background where you didn't have any cash. So when he brings in a $225 grand, because that's going to be the bonus if you win the Super Bowl, I get it. It geeks guys, it juices guys differently than just talking about it in some abstract thing or even seeing a check or something. I get it. But is it going to make a difference in the game when Doc Rivers hides like the $100 bill, whatever, in the ceiling, and we're going to come back? Does that actually make a difference? No, it does not affect who's going to win or lose the game.
That's because you're Spock Kellerman. That's the only reason why. Spock Kellerman is what I call him when he sounds like that, Darren. Devoid of any kind of emotion whatsoever. Everything is logical. My logic cannot be defined. That's what it is. I'll tell you, I didn't have a problem with what Sean Payton did, but I do believe he could have done something better than this, Darren. Are you ready for this? Rather than coming in there with the Super Bowl trophy from 9 years ago, $200,000 in cash with the guards and all of this other stuff, how about making the team sit down and watch the end of that Minnesota game in the NFC Divisional Playoff last year? How about making them sit there and go through that? Because guess what? Do you remember that feeling? Do you remember what it was like to walk away? Because you go to Philadelphia for the NFC Championship game against a backup quarterback in Nick Foles, who obviously played well, but it was against a suspect Minnesota defense at that particular juncture. You're Drew Brees. You're going up against Nick Foles.
Hold up.
That would have been great.
That was actually a pretty good point. Darren, which would motivate you more?
The cash.
What Stephen A. just said or Payton?
No,
see, Darren, let me see how negative Stephen A. is? He wants to remind you of the failures.
Thank
Sean
you.
Payton wants to lift you up.
I don't need to be reminded of the failures. And I'm
never
serious.
apologize for being crude.
Who
I don't
wants
deny
to be reminded of what happened last year? Look, what happened last year is over with. It's a totally different football team. We've earned the right. The New Orleans Saints have earned the right to have home field advantage. And no one knows his team better than Sean Payton. You don't win the amount of games they won this year and have the success that they've had, not knowing who the personnel of your football team, and he knows how to motivate these guys in the right way. So if I'm Sean Payton, I'm bringing that trophy out, bringing that cash out, giving them the visual that they need.
Hold on, Max,
I don't need the negative
you.
reinforcement for what happened last year. This is a totally different year.
Darren,
this is a totally different team.
Darren, you and Max are flat out lying to the public and the American people. Both of y'all are lying through your teeth, and I'm going to prove it. How many times have y'all sat on this show and talked about those moments that are most painful is what you remember and hold on to elevate your level of motivation to avenge what may have transpired? How many times have you told me that, Darren? How many times have you told me that, Max? Max, you ain't never told me that?
I don't think so.
You're going to lie like you're going to just lie like that.
I don't recall it.
Okay.
Stephen A. You know what Stephen A. wants to do?
That's a lie.
Stephen A. wants to bring out Hannibal Lecter to ask the team what's their most painful childhood memory. Like, you're trying to motivate these guys, Stephen A., not demoralize them. They're going to be coming out of the tunnel demoralized, crying.
Exactly. You know what? And the thing is, you just came up a week. You just had a week off. As players, you just had a week off. You've earned the right to have home field advantage. Everything is positive moving forward. You're watching all the other games. You've had some time. You've gotten a little rest. And now you come back in, and a coach brings this out and says, 3 games, this is the goal. This is what we want to accomplish. And you can't tell me. If that motivates a young guy in his first, second, or third year to watch more film, to focus on this game that's leading up, then so be it. And I think that's the motivation that Sean Payton was bringing.
I don't think you're getting what I'm saying. I'm saying to you, I have no problem with your suggestion on Saturday night before Sunday's game, but I'm talking about the week leading into the game. Oh, excuse me, do you remember how painful it was to blow this opportunity? Don't let this happen again. And then Saturday night, night I come with the money and all of that other
Payton
stuff.
comes in with, I have a dream, and Stephen A. with, I had a nightmare.
I'm waiting for you to be funny. I'm actually waiting for you to be funny.
You're trying to demoralize the team.
Yeah, you want to bring it all the way down.
All the way down.
I got you. I got you. That's what winners are
Why
about.
don't you just knee him in the groin on the way out?
Let me ask you. Time out. Like, Dan was the only one laughing at you. I don't find anything that you say remotely funny. But here's the trust me, America ain't laughing. It's corny as hell. But here's the point that I would tell you though. Max, who's the greatest coach of this generation?
Bill Belichick.
How did you feel about Bill Parcells?
Great.
Okay.
Greatest.
I'm sorry.
The greatest.
Time out. Let me ask you a question. Are those dudes singing Kumbaya and hugging you and talking about how it's a new season?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Is that what they doing?
Wait a minute.
Is that
Now,
what
listen,
they doing?
I played with Parcells. I played with Parcells for 2 years, and I've seen him. And Sean Payton is from the Parcells tree. You don't talk about. I mean, Parcells did some things totally different than what you actually
So did Pat
thought
Riley.
he did.
So did
and
Pat Riley.
there were some things that he brought into the locker room that would lift you up, get you motivated. And there
All
are
right.
times
I could see
that he
Stephen
may have
A.
went back
Hey,
and
Darren
brought
Woodson.
back some of the old bad things that happened. But Parcells motivated. He knew his team better than anybody. That's
I
what I'm
could see
saying.
Stephen A.
Sean
as a-
Payton knows his football
I can see
team.
Stephen A. as the trainer and the chief second, the corner man, right before the big fight, telling the fighter, well, that guy looks pretty big.
You're about to get knocked
I don't know if you could do that.
Listen, for what it's worth, Stephen A.
The difference between Max and I is that I would win.